Welcome to the Infinite Wealth Podcast. I'm Cameron Christiansen along with our co-host Anthony Faso. And we just wrapped up part 2 of our interview with Barri Griffiths. Barri, to remind you, is an ex-WWE wrestler, and he's also more recently had a career down here on the Las Vegas Strip as the villain in Ka. And over his years, he's become a very successful real estate investor. And he shared his story with us today. Today we're diving into part 2. Anthony, what was the takeaway that you had from the second half of this interview?
What I liked about part 2 we start diving deeper into real estate, like some advantages of real estate. And one thing I liked here was, well, for one, you had shared your name if you were a professional wrestler, so you have to catch that in the episode. What I liked that he had talked about was, a lot of times people talk about trading time, your time for money if you have a job, right? But he actually went a little deeper. Not only are you trading your time for money, but you're also trading your family's time, because the more you're exchanging your time for money, that's less time that you can have for your family. So that to me was pretty eye-opening.
Yeah.
What were some of your takeaways, Cam?
The takeaway in the second half was there's a point in there where Barri kind of starts to dive into a passionate plea for people to look at and consider real estate as a vehicle to kind of achieve financial freedom. And so one of the things that he said was, man, I really just wish that people would take a look at real estate because it provides you the ability to create the life that you want. And I thought it was great. It ties into everything because he's had to recreate kind of his life a couple times, and real estate has been a piece of it both times. And so I really enjoyed that section of it.
And also, I think we had talked about off camera about having Barri on maybe in the future, in the near future. And what I told him is that he got laid off, right? And I know a lot of people are probably going through that now, but I think with what he's built in the education, that now that he's not working, this is going to give him more time for him to invest in the time and the stuff that he's passionate about in real estate. And I believe next time we have Barri on this podcast, he's going to be thankful that he got laid off. That's another turning point in him. And so he's viewing this not as like a roadblock, but more of an obstacle and finding a way around it to improve his life.
Yeah. Really great story. Love the perspective that he has on the opportunities in front of him. So I know you'll enjoy this episode. Take care.
Okay. Yeah. So going back to your question about an agent, how I did it was, so you want to find people that are doing the deals. They say that it's usually 80-20 rule, right? 20% are doing 80% of the deals, but I would say it's even closer to 95-5, right? 5% are doing 95 of the deals. So you want people that are active. So I think Zillow has a thing where you look at the agents and they tell you what listings they have. So they tell you what they've recently sold. There's somewhere definitely that you can find out. This was commercial, so it was a little bit different. It was a website called LoopNet that you can use to find that out. So you want to find the people that are doing deals, because you have plenty of people that are out there, but they're not doing deals. So you want these people that are finding the deals and that are doing deals, because they're the ones that are being successful. So you want to find that. You also want to find someone that's kind of doing what you're looking for, right? So you don't want to find someone that's in the luxury market if you're looking for, a 50 grand home, right? If you're looking at 50, there's nothing wrong with a 50 grand home. I'm just saying, if this person is selling $1 million homes, how much time do you think he has to go look for a $50,000 home, right? His commission on that is nothing to him. So you want to find someone that's aligned with what you're doing. And I would say as well, you want someone that has investing experience. Ideally, if they invest themselves, that would be great, because they understand it, right? It's one thing, every agent is going to tell you that they understand investing. Every single agent is going to tell you that they understand investing and they work with investors, every single one of them. But do they invest themselves? Because when you invest yourself, you're risking your capital. You have to learn. You have to understand it, right? When you're just buying for other people, if you don't buy a good deal, or you're just going on what they're saying. So if you can find someone who's invested themselves as well, I think that's huge, because they understand it. They have to, right? Otherwise, they're going to lose money. So, but that wouldn't always put me off. If you find someone who just solely works with investors as well, that can work as well. That can be the next best thing from that. But once you find that, these people know contractors, right? They know, and the contractors that do work for investments, right? Because it's one thing to find a contractor that just works on primary residence and makes the house pretty for people to move into.
Yeah.
And it's another to find a contractor that used to doing flip, that's used to making properties into rentals, because a rental is different to a flip, and a flip is different to a primary residence, right? It's, you're going to spend different amounts of money on those things. So those are a few things to start off with, and usually they can lead the way and introduce you to other people that can help you with your investment. With your investments, be it lending, be it insurance broker, be it property managers, be it contractors.
Awesome. What I heard you say in not so many words, it lines up really well with our hierarchy of wealth. Mm-hmm. And what you just went through is very similar to what we talk about with clients. Is you had talked about developing a skill set, right? Mm-hmm. And that skill set is, working on yourself, getting educated in this field, and then making a move in it. And that's kind of our tier 2. What we talk to clients about is developing a skill set for yourself and investing in education and certifications and understanding what you're doing. And then what you talked about was building a team. And that's kind of our tier 3 is you don't have to go recreate the wheel. There's a lot of people out there that are doing everything that you want to do right now. And you touched on it a couple different ways. You said, hey, let's go get into a team. Let's plug into a team, or go find a mentor or a partner that's already doing what we're doing. And I could not agree more. I think that is excellent advice. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, I think as well, to harp on that a little bit more, is that, like you said, that's why I like real estate. It's not rocket science, right? Okay, there's sophistications to certain aspects to it, but everything you want to do, unless you're an innovative person, right, has been done 1,000 million times over. So go find out what you want to do, and just, the internet is a brilliant thing. There's people out there that's willing to share their information on the internet. Find someone who's done that and try and connect with them. Or if you can't connect with them, you can listen to a podcast that they've been on, or you can read a blog that they've been on, right? So you don't always even need to talk to them, because they'll tell you what they've done and how they did it through content out there. So you can go that. You don't, like you said, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's a set path there that's really, I don't want to say easy, it's not easy, but there's a path there that you can follow that is easy to understand, I would say, and easy to do if you do the right things, right? And if you're willing to take action. And going back to what you said earlier, if people want to invest out of state, another good thing is you don't have to go through that thing of investing by yourself, right? You can partner with people, be it doing a joint venture, which is, essentially you're both active in that deal, or you can invest passively in other people's deals. Right? You can, there's all kinds of syndication these days, right? I like the apartment syndication model, but, with apartment syndication, you're expected to do nothing. You're not allowed to do nothing. You're going to be what they call a limited partner. So essentially, you just invest your money in that company and they give you a certain return. But it's that mailbox money, and you just get to essentially sit back. Once you've vetted the deal, the sponsors, the market, you get to sit back and enjoy the money. And the great thing about that is as well, you can really diversify with that model if you wanted to. You could go to every single market in the US without ever having to go there. You can just rely on the sponsors and their skill set and the team that they've built, and just invest with them. And really the returns on those things are really, really good. So, I was interested, actually, I was thinking about this the other day. I'm sure you guys at some point have referred people to syndications. Maybe how does the infinite wealth strategy work with syndication? Does it work well? Is it a good fit for each other?
Well, I would say with infinite banking, one of the key things is, we say that this is an and asset. Mm-hmm. We're not saying invest in real estate or a business, or we use like high cash value life insurance. It's not either or, like it's an and. Like, we want you to invest in real estate. We want you to invest in your business, and running things through a policy is just like using a rewards credit card, right? You add one extra step, but instead of getting miles or cash back by running it through a policy, you're actually getting uninterrupted compound interest. So infinite banking works for really any sort of investment. What works very well is a cash flowing investment. So that's why it works so great with real estate, whether it's you own it or it's a joint venture or a syndication. No matter how you're going to invest, that cash has to come from somewhere. And what we've shown, and we even have our online course, the Infinite Wealth course, that goes through the math. And one of my favorite videos is we did a podcast on it as well.
We did.
Where we have somebody buying a house. We use an example of $100,000. One guy went and used cash. And I know a lot of our investors aren't going to use cash for the whole thing, but whether the cash is the whole house or the down payment, either way, we're going to have to put some money down. And we ran the math. This is what happens if you run it in cash, and this is what it looks like if you use infinite banking. And with me, it's all about the bottom line. How much cash are we going to have at the end of the day? So we do the math, and I forget the numbers, but we increase our returns by about 26%, I believe, and we actually paid quite a bit less in tax. So I didn't mean to go off on a tangent about infinite banking.
I like that number, an extra 26%. Like, anyone's listening, I'm sure, right? If you can make an extra 26%, you're crazy not to kind of even consider it, at least, you know.
Wise words, Barry. I'm not going to argue with you.
I'm interested. Like, so now, you know, we're what is the day today? December 11th, right? And you know, the pandemic has been going on for a while, right? So are you guys finding that there's more or less people now investing with you guys and in the infinite banking concept? I'd be interested. What are you guys seeing?
Yeah, what we're seeing more people that are reaching out over this year. And, you know, really our message is kind of twofold. Number one is where most people are invested is really in the stock market. And people are starting to realize that there is a real disconnect between what the stock market is doing and what they're seeing kind of in reality, right? Their own personal economy. And so there's this uneasiness of those people having their money there, and they're thinking, man, you know, obviously there's something that I'm not understanding here, because what I'm seeing on a personal level is that things aren't going very well kind of in my city and in my town, but yet the stock market is still climbing. So people are starting to realize that there's an uneasiness there, and they're looking for different options. And so that's when they start to look at different options at different places to store their money. And that's where we come in at. And then twofold is really at the end of the day, when you talk to people, what people really want is exactly what you have started to create, is passive income, right? What we've been highlighting in your story is that the first scenario, when you had kind of this sudden job change, is, man, you were in panic mode, right? You didn't know what to do. It was, man, you know, I got to go find an income to replace and to pay this $2,500 mortgage bill right now. And the second time that you went through that is you had passive income that was coming in, and maybe it didn't pay all your bills, but man, you know what? You're able to breathe a little bit easier. And what I found interesting was you were able to dive into kind of some of that skill and build out that skill set that you had already started to create earlier. And now I'm interested to kind of see, just on your personal story, what the future holds for you, because I see real estate really taking off for you. And then, you know, your professional career kind of maybe taking a back seat or kind of moving into position B on that. So it's interesting to see. So that's kind of a long kind of circle to finish my point here, is that what people want is what you have, is they want passive income. And so by using the infinite banking concept, is we're putting our money in a place where we can access it now today. and we don't need to wait till we're 60 or 65 to create income, is we're going to start doing that now. And the way that we've had the most success with clients is through real estate. And so, right, that's why I believe that we've had such success this year, and that people are looking for opportunities, and that's where we come in at.
So you guys have seen that real estate has been sort of the best complement to the infinite banking system.
I'll jump in there, and I'd say absolutely, right? Because what Anthony said is because of cash flow. And really what you'll find is, right, when you look at somebody wanting to create wealth over one lifetime, right, is if it's not given to you, you got to go out and you got to create it. There's really two things that are fundamental in that. It's one, either owning a business or it's real estate, right? And so I want to do both. I want to own a business, and I want to own real estate, but not everybody has that entrepreneurial spirit. And so that's where real estate comes in, right? You get a lot of similar tax deductions and tax advantages to investing into qualified plans, but now you throw cash flow in on top of that you can earn today. And then you throw in the ability that you have to leverage on buying some of these assets. Man, it's a great complement to what we do.
I'll kind of throw in a little CPA tidbits.
Yeah, please.
As far as real estate, what I found in the tax code, it's kind of like a give and take, right? It's either a plus here or minus here. For example, you put money in your IRA, that's a deduction, but when you pull it out, you claim it as income, right? If I have a business expense, I deduct it, but I pay it, whoever business I pay for it picks it up. So it's kind of like a wash, right? But where a couple exceptions I found that is particularly real estate, right? And that you can use the depreciation that can allow you, that you may have a positive cash flow, but when it comes to your tax bill, you're showing a loss. Now, which one thing I think needs to be clear is that's totally cool at the beginning, right? But eventually, as you're making that depreciation, when you go to sell it, you sell it for a gain, you're going to have to recapture that. So you're going to have to pay the taxes on that, or recapture what they call what you depreciated. But here's the thing. When you depreciate that loss, you can deduct it as ordinary income, which is at the highest tax bracket. But when you go to sell it, you're going to pay a lower rate on the depreciation recapture. And when you sell it, it's going to be a long-term capital gains, which is the lowest. In addition, you have the ability to leverage against it, where you have that equity. You can take a mortgage out, and that's not taxable. So you can strip your equity without paying taxes on it. In addition, as you'd mentioned, as we had explained to Cameron, what a 1031 exchange is, you have the ability to defer that capital gain, particularly if you want to start. A lot of people start in single family. It's a little easier and takes less of investment. But then we want to build up to multifamily, and you can easily do that. And then, so I really like real estate. It creates passive income, which is really what everybody wants. And even if they don't know it, even if they're putting money into their 401k, at the end of the day, they don't want to have $1 million or $2 or $3 million. What they want is cash flow. They want that, but they're using Wall Street as a vehicle to create their net worth. But Wall Street is not good for creating cash flow. And my thing is, if your ultimate goal is to have cash flow, well, why wait? Why not start putting assets that create cash value now? Because if you want cash flow from the stock market, you have to sell. You have to sell the asset to create cash flow. I mean, maybe there's some dividends, but that's rarely something that you can rely on. But with real estate, you get cash flow, and you know what? Odds are your asset increased in value, even though you're getting cash flow out. And then when you combine infinite banking, when we take a policy loan from your policy, if we use it for investment purposes, we can deduct that. However, the gains inside your policy are tax-free. So when you combine real estate and infinite banking, I think you are taking advantage of, really taking advantage of the tax code.
Man, I love that. I was lighting up as you were talking about that. But you made a really good point that I don't think maybe gets talked about enough, and I didn't even think about it myself, is that difference in the depreciation, right, for what you're able to depreciate it at the higher tax bracket, and then when you go to sell, you're selling it at a long-term capital gains bracket, which is much lower. So you're gaining on just on that by alone. That's never heard anyone talk about that, but that's brilliant. So anyone who's taking note of that, and I'm actually going to revisit that and figure it out better in my head so I can have a clearer picture. But just on the high level view of that, that's brilliant in itself, right? That's awesome in itself. But as you said there, right, maybe I'm stupid, maybe I just don't understand these things. I don't like the stock market just for that reason that you said, right? So most people's goal is, you invest in the stock market, build this equity, grow this equity, and then when the time is right, you keep drawing down on the equity, and it keeps going smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Hopefully you outlive, you die before you outlive your equity position, right? I don't know. I do not understand this concept whatsoever. Because in real estate, say you have $1 million, right? And you want to take $40,000 a year out there, and you want to live on $40,000. That's a very modest means of living, I think, right? But you want to take $40,000 out a year, right? Well, every year that investment is going down $40,000, right? It's going down, it's drawing down. You invest in real estate, like you said, a cash flowing asset. You could be making 8-10% on that money quite easily, I think, in certain markets, right? Mm-hmm. So on that $1 million, now not only are you making double or more of that cash flow, but the value of your property is probably, properties, whatever you own, is likely going up. So that equity position is going up. Your cash flow is higher than if you did the drawback, plus throw in the tax benefits on top of that. And then sort of, if you buy right and do real estate right, to me, it's a lot more stable as well, right? Maybe people are, again, they think back to 2008, 2009. I don't think that's necessarily a good reflection of the market of real estate, right? Because I think a lot of people have PTSD from that. But I don't get that. Maybe you guys do and I don't, and maybe I'm just too stupid. I don't get why you would grow this equity to then draw it down, whereas you can have the equity keep going up, you can get better cash flow, make more money, and have a better retirement, and still enjoy the amazing tax benefits. It's just mind-blowing to me why anyone would go any other way. But that's just me.
I know, and to me, I think one of the reasons why is people don't take the time to learn. It's most people start off getting a job, and now what the government did, I think it's finalized that a lot of times you're automatically enrolled in their 401k. Like that happened to my son. He's like, hey, I don't want to be in the 401k, but they ended up taking a couple payments out, the first couple of paychecks, but it's just automatic, and it's extremely passive, where it's almost too passive because people don't know what they're investing in.
All the time. I hear people say, I'm like, what is in your 401k? I don't know. Yeah. I have and the worst, they say, I have an active manager, so they're taking care of it. I'm like, oh my good. What kind of fees are you paying on that? Yeah. I have no idea. I don't know. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? This could be costing you hundreds of thousands of dollars over 30 years. And it's like, oh my goodness. Excuse me. Sorry if I'm taking over. I think what it is, right? Unfortunately, money has this negative connotation, right? Like people have this negative outlook towards money, right? Because you hear it all the time, right? Money is the root of all evil. That's a saying that people pass around all the time. But apparently the saying is, and I think it's a religious saying, right? Money is the root of all evil what is the saying? When
I think it's
all else, right?
The love of money.
Yeah, a love of money above all else is the roots of all evil, right? Yeah. You're right, yeah. So none of us, I don't think any of us who invest in real estate and do what you guys are doing have that, right? It's just a vehicle to create a better future for ourselves. But unfortunately, it has that negative outlook. And I think also what it is, people, it's easy to be like, oh, money is just evil. I don't want to be that money person. I don't want to be obsessed with money. So they don't have to do anything with it, right? They can just forget it and just go on with looking at Instagram or looking at YouTube or, you know, not bettering their future because it's just easy. They've created an excuse in their head.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy to me. Yeah, it's just like
that's you know, when I say to people who say, well, they're not money driven. Well, I don't think I'm money driven, but I'm time driven.
Yeah.
I want to spend time with my family, with my kids. I want to do things. I mean, I do love what we do here, but I love spending time with my family as well. And a lot of times people get caught up, and even I did this when I had my CPA firm. I was working from 9 in the morning till 2:00 in the morning during tax season. So great. I made some money, but I didn't see my kids. Like what's the point of having a lot of money if you don't enjoy it? And we don't know how long we're going to be here. We have got to enjoy the time. You have young kids, right? That that money allows you the choice of what to do with your time.
That's a great one.
Do you know what someone, and it blew my mind. So we all hear we're exchanging time for dollars, right? Mm-hmm. Someone told me one day, yeah, you're exchanging your time for dollars, but do you realize you're exchanging someone else's time as well for dollars? You're exchanging my son's time. I'm exchanging my wife's time. I'm exchanging my family's, my friend's time. That was so powerful, because if I want to exchange my own time for dollars, okay, that's one thing, right? It's not what I want. Yeah. But when I'm exchanging their time, like my son's time, like I'm taking time away from him, from that connect. How powerful is that? Who wouldn't want more time with their friends, with their family? And also another thing that I always say is, right, okay, you don't care about money, but is there nobody in your life that you could help with that money? There's not a single person. Do you have a sister that has 2 kids and is a single mom that you could, if you made a lot more money, you could keep working, but you could say, hey, spend your time with your kids. I'm going to take care of this. I'm going to pay your mortgage. I'm going to pay you with this passive income. Is there nobody that you could improve? Or maybe you have nobody in your immediate future. Is there not a charity that you would like to give to? Is there not a cause that you could help? Money can be so life-changing in the positive of ways. And I'm not money obsessed at all. I don't care about the dollar amount in my bank account. I don't care about driving a Ferrari. I don't care. But what you can achieve through it is so much bigger than anything that you can imagine, I think, from just being, no, I just want to live my life, right? And I want something else that you guys talked about as well, right? Because I think we might be running out of time. So is that you invest in a 401k, you invest in an IRA, right? You got to wait till you're 59 and a half. 59 and a half? 59 and a half. Think about that for a sec. How old are you now? I'm 38, right? So that's another 20 years for me, right? I don't want to wait another 20 years to be able to do what I want to do and have that freedom, right? Because what if you create that dollar amount much sooner? Okay, you can take it out with penalty in IRA, but that really hammers you. In real estate, and you using the infinite banking concept, what if you could get there in 5 years and you're 30? Now you have the choice to keep working or whatever, but what if you can get there in 5 years? And that's what I love about real estate as well. You can get there so much quicker. Someone could start out with I was thinking about this earlier, start out today with $0. And if they did all the right things, $0, and in a year or two, they could be a millionaire. There's plenty of people that have done it. This is not a crazy, we buy a lottery ticket every week, right? We want to win that $160 million. Well, in real estate, it's a lottery ticket, and it's not a lottery ticket. It's because there's a defined path that you can follow and go through, right? It's just absolutely, think about that. You could start today with even debt. There's people that start out with $100,000 in debt, and in a few years they're millionaires, making that passive income through real estate, and their life. They have their life in their hands, right? The world is their oyster, as you could say, right? They can do whatever they want with that. They could work 100 hours a week then if they want, if that's what their choice is. They can give all that money away to charity, or they can go on vacation. They can do whatever, right? And it's just, I think, hopefully, if anyone takes anything away from this, is that you have the choice. When I realized that I can create whatever life I want for myself, that choice. I absolutely have control over my life and what I want to do. And every single person listening today has that choice. You just got to change your mindset, change your outlook, and figure out how to do it. But you have that choice. You 100% have that choice to create whatever life you want for yourself. And it all looks different for all of us, but you have that choice. And when I realized that, that was just so amazing to me.
Well said. I'm going to throw something in there and kind of go back a little bit, but you were talking about kind of how people view money. And, I hear that often, right? If you run in kind of a conservative religious group is root of all evil is love of money. Man, what always comes to my mind almost every single time is that the way that I look at it personally is that the amount of capital that I have is a direct correlation to the amount of good that I can do. Right. And you touched on it there is, man, if I've got capital, man, I can go and I can start to support some ventures that, maybe somebody else isn't in a position to support. And so, if you've been around the city long enough, you're going to see a whole bunch of people out there that have created nonprofits, for example, that have just tremendous hearts to help people. And man, I would love to be in a position, and I will be in a position to give back to them. And so that's what always comes to mind. And so it's exactly like you said, it's mindset. It's how you look at money. But let's transition real quick and let's go into kind of your creative ventures, right? What you've been spending your time on, not only investing in real estate personally, but also, man, your podcast. It's been very successful. I love your podcast. You got a ton of great content. Take a minute or two and tell our listeners about that, please.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, so I had a very good-looking guest as one as my first guest. He looked quite similar to Cameron, actually.
He was very good-looking, yeah.
Check that out. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head what episode it is. Maybe I'll send you the thing. You guys can include it in the show notes. But yeah, I started a podcast a few months back. Absolutely amazing. Hopefully people can sense my passion, I hope, through this. I absolutely love this. I love real estate, and I love the financial freedom aspect of it as well, and being able to, again, create that life that you want for yourself, right? Whatever that looks like. So, I interview people from all aspects of real estate, single families, wholesale flippers, but mainly I chime in on apartment investing and the multifamily syndication model. So do a daily podcast. Wow. Maybe that's a little crazy to me, but I've been doing a daily podcast and I love it. So, I'm not working this time. I have that time to do it. So it's been phenomenal. I've met so many amazing people. It's starting to grow and kind of get bigger and bigger. More people are listening. So that's awesome. So it's called the WWRE Podcast, which stands for Wrestling with Real Estate. And there's a YouTube channel as well called Wrestling with Real Estate. And if you can't remember all that, if you go to wrestlingwithrealestate.com, all the links are there. So yeah, an episode a day. Just really, I love having awesome conversations. And also through that, I started wanting to connect with more people, just anyone, like maybe your listeners who are interested in, real estate, whatever. I just love to help people. I love talking about it. So I offer people the chance to not the chance, that sounds bad. If anyone wants to talk to me, right, there's a link in the realestate.com where it's just, I'm not selling anything. I'm not trying to get you to sign up for a coaching program or nothing like that. It's just 30 minutes of us talking about real estate and seeing if there's any way that I can help you whatsoever, if it's giving you some direction, if it's leading you another way. Who knows, right? This helps me as well. Like, if you give me a piece of advice or you give me a nugget of wisdom. So if you guys go to wrestlingwithrealestate.com, everything is there.
Now, one thing I know on your podcast, you always ask people what would their wrestler name be in their move. And I was curious what Cameron's was. I have an idea of what his secret weapon would be, but I was just curious. Do you recall what you said, or?
I honestly do not recall, but I'll look it up and I'll come up with something good for you.
So, do you remember what your wrestling name was? The 4 questions I asked was, what is your wrestling name? Every wrestler has a special move. What is your special move? What's been the biggest body slam? And was there a moment you were standing on the top rope, getting ready to jump, what you would say? But I'm more interested in what was your wrestling name. Do you remember? I can't remember, to be honest with you. I've done 70 plus episodes of this.
All right, I'll give it to you guys. My wrestling name would be Killer Cam. Because I was a cover 2 corner in college, and that means I played the perimeter. So we did a little bit of coverage, but I didn't mind coming up and hitting somebody. So I had a cool nickname from that.
Okay, that's not too. Hopefully, from now on, you'll just refer to him as Killer Cam, and that's it.
Killer Cam. Now, so what's your secret move? Like if you're in a video game, like everybody, you hit this special button, you have this secret power move.
Oh man.
What I would envision is you're probably in a headlock, right? Let's envision I have you in a headlock and I'm, doing what I do, but you can somehow shake your head or whatever, and it moves the guy away, and then all of a sudden your hair just like falls back in place. Something, I don't know.
I don't know. I think he uses his hair as a weapon, because I'm sure there's a bit of gel in there, right? So I'm sure it's pretty. So he probably not like a headbutt, just runs into people head first with his head down.
Yeah, like a helmet.
Impale people.
Like a helmet.
Yeah.
Hope you guys are enjoying yourselves.
Like the water boy, he makes that squealing noise as well.
Man, thanks, guys.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah,
my pleasure.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Well, awesome. Let's wrap this up. What came to mind when we were talking about the offer, the phone call was, I think we have a mutual friend, Alex Felice. His saying is that real estate is 90% networking. And so if anybody, our listeners are interested or thinking about getting started or just want to increase your network, man, feel free to reach out to Barry. He's a great resource, very well connected, and has a whole bunch of experience, and would be happy to share it with you guys. So if you don't listen to him, make sure you guys reach out and subscribe to his podcast. Great content. He's got a lot of variety in there. It's really good.
So thanks for coming on, Barry. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks, guys, for having me. That was awesome. That was a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks, Barry.
Make it a fantastic day.
Take care.